It's Friday afternoon in Sydney, Australia, and that means it's time for Friday Beers with Marc and Stuart. I'm Stuart Roberts.
I'm Marc Kennis.
And we're the co-founders of Pitt Street Research, Australia's leading provider of issuer-sponsored research focused on small and mid-cap companies traded on the Australian Securities Exchange. Marc, you've had a big smile around the office this week. What's the secret
Absolutely.
of your happiness?
I had a brilliant week. My team, Ajax Amsterdam, basically beat the reigning champion.
Right, Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
In the Champions League game,
In the
right?
Champions League,
Right.
4-1.
Okay.
So this was Wednesday morning, Sydney time, and I've been smiling ever since.
Right. So it's fair to say that taking down Real Madrid was one of the upsets of the season, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Probably the upset, the biggest upset in a couple of years, in terms of club football.
Right.
So because they've been the reigning champions of club football in Europe for about 4 to 5 years, winning the Champions League for the last 3 years in a row, for instance.
Right. Now, as we've talked about champions being overthrown, it reminded me of probably the greatest corporate upset in our capital market in a long time, which is A2 Milk Company.
Right.
How much would you expect to pay for the company that makes this product?
Well, I just had a look at the chart. I think about 10.5 billion.
Right, $14 a share that the stock's gone to post the result. That capitalises that A2 Milk at 10 billion.
Right.
It is now New Zealand's largest listed company, but most of the action obviously is on the Australian Stock Exchange. Previously, the biggest dairy company in New Zealand, and dairy is a big issue in that country, was Fonterra. They're now capitalised at only $7 billion.
Right.
So it got me thinking, how is it in the 21st century that it's not just the tech sector that gets disrupted all the time, but something as prosaic as milk can have it disrupted like A2 Milk come along? Now, you've never tried this product.
No, not a big milk drinker. But
Okay. Well, let me fix you some.
Try to stick to this stuff.
We'll come to that later on. This is exciting as well. I switched over to A2 Milk several years ago. I don't drink any other kind of milk now.
You keep it.
Right.
I'll stick to this.
Let me tell you why it's good. There's a fraction in milk, a protein fraction called beta-casein. There's an A1 fraction and an A2 fraction. A chap called Corin McLaughlin in New Zealand figured out years ago that the A1 fraction's bad for you. And if you only got milk that had A2 in it, it would be healthy. Had certain cardiovascular and other health benefits, including for the central nervous system.
Is it fair to say it's more than just a marketing story?
Yeah.
It is actually better for you, and that's what they've sold.
There's now published research, and I've read the literature showing that this milk is actually better for you.
All right.
For a long time, no one believed it, including Fonterra. They presumed it was a marketing gimmick. Well, that marketing gimmick is now so good that in the most recent result, let me check the numbers here. Revenue up 41%, EBITDA up 53%. This company cannot make enough milk to keep up with demand.
Sounds like a tech company.
Right. So so Marc, have a drink. Now, is the glass half full or glass empty here?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because if you look at the media this week, you'd say the glass is half empty.
Right.
Especially if you look at economic growth.
Right.
So for the December quarter, it was 0.2% growth month on month,
Yep.
which if you annualize it is 2.3%.
Oh my goodness, the world's coming to an end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
If you would have these sorts of numbers in Europe, they'd kill for that. So, but the media, if you look at the headlines, Financial Review, the economy barely grew in the December quarter. Drumbeat for rate cut gets louder.
Sydney Morning Herald, ASX hits fresh 6-month high despite poor GDP.
Yeah, well, poor is a relative term, I'd say.
Right. Okay. Now, I've been reading stories about this for years. No matter how good the economy is, the media will find a way to report it negatively.
It sells
newspapers. Sells newspapers
not anymore,
for the people who are still buying those. So
idiots like us.
Hey, we're the tech guys. Where's the online version of that? Yeah. Right. So you and I were talking a little earlier about the current bid from KKR for MYOB. What's your take on what's going on there?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Just a quick recap. Was a bid by KKR at $3.70 per share.
So just for those overseas viewers, MYOB is the leading accounting online accounting franchise for our region.
Yeah,
competes with Xero for basically for companies like yours and I at the startup stage, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and SMEs in general.
Right.
So,
okay,
But that bid, the 370 bid, was lowered in
Right.
December.
Yes.
Essentially on the back of sort of the markets, tech markets especially,
Right.
coming down.
Right.
But of course, we've seen a recovery in those markets.
Yes.
And there's now a shareholder, and I think you've got the name there.
Manor K Partners.
Yeah, that's saying,
Right.
look, 340 a share is way too low. It should be valued above $4.
Right.
Which can be true potentially, but I think you need to look at the sort of the growth numbers. I think the last half year was 6% revenue growth, flat EBITDA growth, and I think that's sort of related to the investments they've been doing into the tech platform. I think at this level, it seems like it's a bit undervalued, but it all comes down to what is the future growth, and I think MYOB probably needs to set its sights on expansion overseas.
If it starts to talk more about that, then potentially make a case to be
Then you could be talking about valuations above $4, I guess,
right
per share. Because I think the local market is, I wouldn't say it's not saturated, but it's 6% growth top line isn't great for a tech company.
Right. And of course, margins were flat in the most recent result, as you said.
Yeah, but that's temporary, right? If once they get through the spending cycle, this investment cycle, that should tick up. But yeah, it all depends on what sort of view you have on their future growth. Will they focus on Australia and New Zealand for the next couple of years, or is there some overseas expansion on the horizon?
Right. Now, it wouldn't be Friday beers without us drinking beer.
I thought you were going to talk about milk.
Sure, but
What's in that?
I couldn't resist. Well, that's just got A2 beta casine.
Any hops in
But
there?
no hops in that one. But I had to tell you about this beer. This is the best beer since we started this program that I have yet encountered.
Bent spoke.
Bent spoke. Can any good thing come out of Canberra, if I might paraphrase the New Testament? Well, this is a Canberra-based brewer. And I got to tell you, they know how to brew it. This is 45 on the IBU scale on the hops. So it's the most hopped up beer I think we've had on this program so far. 7% alcohol by volume. So if you're looking for some good icebreaker at a barbecue down in Canberra where the yard is full of public servants and you've got to figure out something to talk about, this is the beer. Now, that strange hop flavour is unusual. It's a relatively recent hop called Mosaic. And the beer aficionados like to describe Mosaic as complex. You can't quite tell what flavour you're getting out of it. Could be berries, could be citrus, could be whatever.
My question is this reliable drinking?
Well, I intend to drink more of it, so I'm a more reliable customer now of Ben Spoke Brewing.
Right.
Having said that, that's all we have time for. Here's to the next stage for IS Amsterdam, and happy investing investors.
Cheers. See you next week.